Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Kris Sims, BC Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Welcome back to the show, Kris.
Thank you so much.
ICBC, the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, a monopoly, perhaps should be renamed to the Spy Agency of BC. Kris, what's the story there?
Well, it was just breaking news in the last day or so where ICBC is looking at installing what they're calling an app and what is actually a form of tracking device software into the vehicles of new drivers. Voluntarily so far, of course, and a pilot project so far, of course. But the issue is that taking it right from the way they've put it, these are small in-vehicle devices that communicate with an app installed in the driver's cell phone, and each trip, behaviors like speeding, braking patterns, level of distracted driving, and the distance, meaning where you're going and when, would all be recorded. This is a problem not only for the amount of cost that this would incur, so when you're technically going with the flow of traffic along a sunny freeway, a highway, and you're going technically over the speed limit, you'll be getting a speeding ticket. That is a speeding infraction. Also, from the perspective of civil liberties and freedom, to be free of government tracking and observation and surveillance, this flies directly in the face of that. And this is an alarm that we sounded with the CTF months ago because Metro Vancouver's area there are considering something called mobility pricing. And mobility pricing, they're talking about doing two or a combination of two things. One, installing thousands of expensive cameras that will automatically detect and read your license plate and perhaps your face and find out where you're going and when and send you a bill for driving around. Or two, they would actually, for commuters, say, coming in from the Fraser Valley or up from the North Shore or perhaps up from Delta to Wason, they would actually install tracking devices in your car so they know where you're going at every second of every day and when. The problem here, obviously, is that is big government surveillance and observation of a private individual. Number two, as we have seen in the pilot program that was put forth in Washington State, just across the border, it would rack up tens of thousands of dollars of fines. I have a lady that I know that went and signed up for the pilot project down in Washington. She's part of a think tank down there. And she signed up for the program so she could find out what kind of data they'd actually be taking in. It was astounding. How hard she was braking, how fast she was cornering. I didn't even know that was a term. Every single time that she just pinged over the speed limit going along with the flow of traffic on a freeway. This is a woman who's like 32 years old driving a hatchback with a perfect driving record. But it blipped every single time she did it. So that when all of this data spat out of it at the end of the week and then at the end of the month, I think she racked it up and it was something like $12,000 worth of what would be technically speeding fines or cornering fines or weird driving infractions that a lot of people may or may not know about. And so we cannot give the government this kind of power. We just can't. This has to be a non-starter. And so I was actually worried about it happening this way, and it sounds like this is how they're going to roll it out. They start out small. They'll start with new drivers. They'll call it voluntary. They'll call it a pilot project. They'll talk a lot about distracted driving because that's the shiny new object nowadays and everybody likes chatting about their cell phones. And they'll get it in. And we can't let that happen. We just can't.
Is the BC Civil Liberties Association involved in this?
That's a great question. And so I talked with them back when we first did our mobility pricing issue, and they were concerned about it. They actually have put out a really great, I can send you the link later if you want to share it with your listeners. A BC Civil Liberties organization put out an astounding study about modern cars. Just our own vehicles that we already own. Forget about any sort of government installation or anything like that. Just the amount of data that is already being recorded and tracked in our off-the-lot cars. It's basically they're big rolling computers that we're driving now. And they have black boxes in them, very similar to what we're used to hearing about in big jumbo jets and airliners. They're actually in modern vehicles now. So everything from when you got your brakes checked to your oil change to, like I said, turning, braking, speed, all that stuff is being recorded. And having access to that data now is becoming big, big business. And I think something like 30 states in the United States are considering a form of mobility pricing. And again, there's a way of billing people for using the roads. It's called gas taxes. It's called carbon tax. It's called insurance premiums, you name it. They don't need to install tracking devices in our vehicles in order to know where we are just to pave over potholes. We cannot give the government that kind of power. And actually, I was in both stakeholder meetings. There were only 2 so far, and I'll go to every one of them. There were 2 stakeholder meetings that were held this past year in the city of Metro Vancouver. And this is where they were talking about replacing future gas tax revenue. The idea goes something like this, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, all of us will be driving electric vehicles, and therefore we will be bereft of gas taxes and diesel taxes. So how are we going to pay for the roads? Number one, that argument is pretty silly, considering they're increasing their revenue from gas taxes year over year. It's not going down, it's going up. And number two, I think electric vehicle sales hover around 1% of new car sales. And number three, trucking. Trucking is what gets most of our goods and services around, and they pay a lot of money in their diesel taxes. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So the idea of imposing tracking devices by the state in private vehicles for the sake of theoretically losing gas tax revenue, we just can't allow that to go on.
Well, what's wrong with just taking a picture of your odometer reading and sending it in once a year? If they want to get you on total miles, they don't need to know where you went or why you went or how fast or how slow you went. That would tell them.
Yes,
just like
exactly.
when we used to do the annual safety check.
Exactly. And so that's what I found eerie, is that they weren't even talking about that. When I went to the congestion symposiums and they were talking about it, it was all under the guise of getting rid of congestion or easing congestion in Vancouver and what to do about lost gas tax revenue. Number one, actually, Metro Vancouver is the sixth most congested city in all of Canada. It actually isn't nearly as bad as it is in places like Toronto, and yet here they are already considering this. Number two, they didn't mention that, what you just said, taking a picture of your odometer and just racking it up per year. And actually, they claimed to have studied other jurisdictions, but when I looked into it, in California right now, they're working on software that they can install in gas pumps or, electrical charging stations if you drive an electric car, which is extremely rare, that would then talk to your car. It would, like I said, most of our cars now are rolling computers. So this new software at your fueling station would talk to your car's computer, get the odometer reading from the last recharging or refueling, and then just add, 70 cents, $4, whatever it would cost on how much your odometer had changed. There again, you'd be paying more, which we wouldn't like it either, but at least it wouldn't be tracking your every move. But funny, that's not what the government's talking about. They're talking about tracking your every move, and that's a problem.
We'll have more with Kris Sims right after this.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Vatic Ventures Corp. is a potash exploration company focused on the Korat Basin in Thailand, the world's largest undeveloped potash resource. Vatic's management has extensive potash exploration and development experience in Thailand. Vatic will have marketing advantage compared to Western producers. Drill program commences this spring. Vatic trades on the TSX Venture, symbol VCV, and on Frankfurt, symbol V8V2. Visit our website, vaticventures.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Kris Sims, and back on the road again. We're talking about the lack of ride-sharing services in British Columbia. Both the Liberal and NDP governments promised, we'll bring in Lyft and Uber right away. Well, now the BC government has passed legislation that they supposedly say will allow ride-sharing in perhaps a year. Is this a disingenuous way, though, with all the rules they put up, that won't really allow it?
Yes, we think you're absolutely right there. I think that they are purposefully trying to throttle this new technology that everybody wants, and they're trying to smother it so that it doesn't actually happen. As most of us know who've ever been to a different jurisdiction that actually allows for ride sharing, things like Uber and Lyft, it's incredibly convenient, very, very popular, and tons of people do it. And by do it, I mean they're also drivers and they're users of it. And what's neat about it is that it's simply supply and demand, and it's of their free choice. And if you want to be an Uber driver, you can sign up and be an Uber driver. That means that if you're commuting, say in from Maple Ridge or Abbotsford or Chilliwack or Delta, and you want to pick up passengers and you're an Uber driver on your way into town, guess what? You can do that. And if you want to take them across on the ferry, you could do that too. It's all up to you and your contract with Uber. But no, just dial up the ideology of this current provincial government, and they want to restrict how many Uber drivers are in a given area, or how many licenses they're allowed, or where they can and cannot drive. That is the antithesis of ride sharing in the way that it actually currently works. And so we're not surprised, but we're extremely disappointed in this government for doing this. And they're doing it on purpose. They campaigned on this. They said that they would get ride sharing into British Columbia. And I would say they probably got a decent chunk of votes for making that campaign promise. But now they're doing everything they can to tangle it up for as long as they can so that it'll hopefully go away in their mind. This is counterintuitive when it comes to ride hailing. And I must say, I'm surprised at how some bureaucrats and governments are receiving the issue of ride hailing. I was listening in on a TransLink discussion many months ago, and it was one of those panel discussions. They were talking about ride hailing, and it was within the city of Metro Vancouver, their geographical area. And one of the panelists actually said with a straight face that they could allow ride hailing within Metro Vancouver so long as it was a not-for-profit organization. The driver had to be a volunteer. The car had to be a zero emissions or an e-car. They had to have free parking, and they had to allow a form of trade in lieu of payment to respect non-digital persons. I don't know what the heck that means.
I'm supposed to accept, I guess, sheaves of wheat or a couple of chickens.
Yes. In exchange for driving you from Langley to Burnaby, I guess, you're going to get an apple or a suckling pig. Like, it was crazy. And it was in order to allow for people who, I guess, don't have credit cards or don't have a cell phone to still use this imaginary, free, volunteer, not-for-profit electric car ride-hailing service.
And what collective farm were they off of from the Soviet Union?
Which turnip truck from what collective farm did they just fall off of? That's a great question. I don't know, but this person, it wasn't just a walk-up. This was a member of the panel who talked for 20 minutes about this and was taken very seriously. And if these sorts of ideas are being entertained at the Metro Vancouver level and taken seriously with polite nods, I mean, it's no wonder that at the Victoria level, we still don't have our act together when it comes to ride-hailing. I must say, it's almost embarrassing. We've got such an outstandingly beautiful province, full of so many smart, industrious people. I mean, world leaders in a lot of these different areas. And yet, when they land at the Vancouver airport, they're stuck. Or if they're a woman and they're downtown, I can't tell you how many girlfriends I've heard from who live downtown and it's 2:00 in the morning and they can't get home because there's no ride hailing and their taxi service is deplorable apparently. So yeah, it's really disappointing. This could have been a quick one-off for the NDP to do. They could have done this very quickly because they do have the support of the Green Party for ride hailing. They could have gotten this done. And so I think you're right. I think they created this wording of this really heavy-handed and weird and cloistered legislation in order to prevent ride-hailing, actually, instead of installing it.
Well, if you get an extra 10 cars on the road, that's certainly not going to deal with an influx of 30, or I should say 3,000 or 5,000 cruise ship passengers.
No, you're not. And, tinkering around the edges of the taxi industry is not going to fix this. We know this. But here we are. Apparently there's a major problem where especially apparently American tourists who take tour boats on those big cruises and they finally dock there in Vancouver, that glorious area, they get out of their cruise ship and they can't get to the airport. And they can't get to the airport with all their baggage and their family and stuff as quickly as they can and they miss their flight home. And apparently this happens frequently. Can you imagine that eventually becoming known that, Vancouver is where everything ends? Last stop on the train and you can't get home. So it's really well past time to allow this to simply happen. And what's also depressing is that again with ICBC is another problem. It's a fly in the ointment. So here they turned around and said, okay, here's our new legislation that is extremely draconian and probably will kill ride hailing anyway. But here, ICBC, now figure out how to insure them. And ICBC said, oh, right, ride hailing. We'll get right on that, which means it'll take them a year or two to do it. As if ride hailing is something newfangled and that they hadn't considered insuring yet. So again, another reason why we need competition for car insurance in this province, because then we can actually, have a company that already deals with Uber and Lyft deal with Uber and Lyft.
How about an insurance company that hires people who know how to deal with insurance instead of a bunch of bureaucrats?
Right? And actually manages risk and data and demographics and probability. Yeah, I know. And which is what a lot of other provinces have. And they have, guess what? Competition and lower rates. So again, it just gets back to the grocery store analogy, right? What kind of produce, what kind of service and checkout times do you think we would have at our grocery store if the government owned it and we had no competition? Imagine no price matching, no coupons, no flyers, nothing. You drive up and you take what you're given at the price you're told. That's what we deal with ICBC all the time. And now it's contaminating something as simple as ride hailing.
The Liberals don't get off the hook, though. They had the chance to bring it in and they didn't.
But at least now at their recent policy convention, they said they want competition. So, if that means that if they eventually get elected back into power again, that means they'll do it within the first year, I'll take it. I just want some progress on this. I don't care if it's the Flying Spaghetti Monster Party that gets in. I want to see ICBC opened up to competition.
Well, we did have a Liberal proposal, a private members bill that would get Uber up and running and other ride-sharing services within 90 days, and the Green Party voted against it.
Isn't that sad? I know. And that's one of the things where I actually was expecting them to see they don't want to topple the government. And I think they were worried that that would be an indicator that there's blood in the water. And this is politics, right? And so it's really disappointing to see that. And again, it's one of those no-brainers. The NDP could have won, I think, a lot of cred if they had fulfilled that campaign promise.
And you can make the motion like a non-confidence vote.
Yep.
Because other private member bills suggested by the other side have passed.
Yep, they could, but they won't, which is so frustrating because meanwhile the average person doesn't care about the inter-party politics or the inter-party politics in Victoria. They don't care. All they want to do is get some ride sharing and ride hailing so they can make more money in the evenings so they can actually pay their outrageous bills, or they want to get home, or they want to get to work. They simply want it. The other thing that's really cool about ride hailing is that it's all private. It's between individuals and the people they're picking up and the company they're working for. It's all just money making on their behalf. It doesn't cost taxpayers any money, and it actually reduces the requirements and the pressures on the expensive taxpayer-funded transit system. When they had ride-hailing in Toronto, the pressure on the TTC eased up. So we didn't have all these people squished into the subway cars, and a lot of the pressure was eased up because people were opting for ride-hailing instead. That's a good thing. And in Phoenix, if you take a look at the University of Arizona, they did a great study, years long, on the effect of ride-hailing. And in Phoenix, it dramatically reduced congestion and the amount of gasoline being burned because people were opting for ride-hailing. It's basically a form of small for-profit carpooling, and it's great.
We'll have more with Kris Sims right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Kris Sims. Kris, the bill is in. Ottawa expects to pay an extra $340 million to look after what they call unexpected migrants. We would call them border jumpers. Is this an unfair burden on taxpayers, and should more effort be made to make sure people go through proper border crossings?
It is a very unfair burden, and it's one of those very frustrating things. I know a lot of Canadians feel frustrated when they see footage of people coming across the border illegally and the RCMP basically handling their luggage for them and bringing them across. The catch, though, is that no matter what we do, it's going to cost a ton of money. And so if we somehow, built a wall or had a soldier every 50 feet along the border, that border is thousands of kilometers long. We are not going to be able to harden the border to the point where nobody is going to be getting through illegally. But we could be taking the money that we're already spending on this and put it into getting them processed faster and getting deported faster if they're coming here fraudulently. I think the stat was around 90% of the people that we're seeing on the evening news coming across those snowy borders are actually fraudulently getting in here, meaning they're not allowed to be coming in the way they're coming in, and they are eventually deported. That's the part that the Canadians don't see. They don't see that there's actually a 90% return rate. It's like you're fishing and then you put them back in the lake. Apparently that's around 90%. If people knew that the money could go towards that and speeding up that process, because now apparently the average processing time is 14 months. That's a long time. If they can speed that up and get those who are coming here illegally out faster, that also means they can't ever come back here again. That would probably be a wiser spending of money. The problem is that no matter what we do, this is going to cost a lot of money. But we think the most expedient thing to do is to speed up the process so that those who are here illegally are sent back quicker.
Are some of these people desperate enough that 10% chance of being accepted is good enough?
It could be. It could be. And I think, I can't speak for him, but the Prime Minister, when he sent out that tweet, basically saying our doors are open and the welcome mat is here, apparently the illegal border crossers, that number spiked after he said that. And so the perception is that, come to Canada. But if we make it so that you're turfed 9 out of 10 times, and then you're never allowed to come back here even to attempt it, like you're frozen out, if we get that message out loud and clear, instead of the, kind of fuzzy, hazy thing at the border, I think that would be better. And I think a lot of taxpayers would sleep better at night knowing that border security is working efficiently and Citizen and Immigration Canada is processing these things very quickly. And 9 out of 10, that's a big rejection number, and then sending them back. And then at least those 10% who do actually need it, who are true refugees, that's the purpose of the refugee system, is to bring in those who are under the gun. And so I think that was what would make people a lot happier. But right now the main headline is how much it's bloody well costing, and it's way too much. But if they put that money into speeding up the process and getting rid of them faster, it's a better thing to do. I know a lot of people will call for things like hardening the border. You're running into a lot of problems there. Like, what do you mean exactly by that? You want to get, Canadian armed forces lining up along the U.S. border? Like, come on. Like, that's not really a good idea. The optics could be bad, and things could escalate quickly. But right now, they're being received and contained and processed. The problem is that they're just not being processed fast enough.
Plus, all the people who have jumped through all the hoops and rang all the bells and whistles, they're being delayed in getting into Canada. Some who were accepted and had their bags packed are being told, oh, well, it'll be another 2 or 3 years.
Isn't that frustrating? Exactly.
They're people we want, people we need.
Yes, and they're people we want and people we need, and then also, like, people living in desperately terrible situations who are true refugees, who have filled out all their paperwork and are trying to come here, in some cases trying to save their own lives. So that's, like, literally what, the refugee system is there for. And so if we're just allowing this constant stream of, people coming in from the United States, and we're allowing it to gum up the system for way too long a time, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's then impeding those legal immigrants and those true refugees from coming here. And that's a problem. And so everything costs money that is important. So national defense, the courts, the police, we get that. But we think that the money could be better spent if it was targeted towards getting those things processed faster, so that those who shouldn't be here are gone faster. And we need to get that message out. I think the federal government could do our border workers a lot of favors if they came out and said, stop coming, if they change the narrative. But I don't think they will, because they're scoring a lot of political points off of the Trump administration right now.
BC has applied for intervener status in the court case involving Ottawa and Saskatchewan over carbon taxes. What side does BC want to be on? Right.
So this is the case where the province of Saskatchewan is telling the Trudeau federal government to go pound sand, saying that the Saskatchewan people don't want a carbon tax, they don't need a carbon tax, thank you very much. The Trudeau government's trying to force it on them anyway from the federal government, from the top down. So Saskatchewan's fighting back in court. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation, my organization, which is actually born in Saskatchewan, is fighting on behalf of Saskatchewans. We're fighting against the carbon tax there, and we're tagging in on their side. So we're coming over the boards, we've dropped the gloves, we're in the fight. Now, the government of British Columbia is intervening in that court case on behalf of the Trudeau Liberals. So they're stepping a big step over top of the Rocky Mountains in the province of Alberta, and for some reason getting involved in that fight between that province and the federal government, on behalf of the federal government. And I think it's because ideologically they're addicted to the carbon tax. They love it. They love the money that it comes in. They love the optics of it. They like punishing people for driving to work and heating their homes. And so they're just teaming up with Trudeau ideologically, and they're spending taxpayers' money to do it. Interesting, a third party, anybody who's outside of government, needs to apply for intervener status, and that's what we're doing at the CTF. But the provinces automatically are granted status if they ask for it, and that's exactly what EB announced.
Alberta says it's going to buy 2 complete trains. That's more than just tanker cars, the engines and I guess the personnel to run them, to transport their oil to market because they're frustrated with the lack of pipelines. Is this a bad deal for Alberta taxpayers and Canadian taxpayers who also enjoy the revenue from that oil?
It's a very bad deal. And again, it's just like you're banging your head against a wall. It didn't need to be this way. It didn't need to happen like this. Kinder Morgan owned the Trans Mountain Pipeline that exists right now between Edmonton and Burnaby. It's still functioning. It's in the ground. It runs right through the Fraser River Valley, and it's been functioning since the 50s. They simply wanted to twin their existing property at no cost to taxpayers. In fact, they'd make tax money off of it. They were given green lights by first the BC provincial government under Christy Clark, and then the federal government. They were given green lights for 5 years, saying go ahead and do it. But because of all these protests and these court fights, and because the federal government under Trudeau didn't get up off of its duff and actually declare paramountcy and enforce the rule of law, the company walked away. Kinder Morgan walked away and sold this pipeline to us. Now the taxpayers own the stupid thing, and we can't get it twinned because it's now gummed up in the courts. And now, out of frustration, you're right, it seems the Premier of Alberta, out of desperation, is buying train cars to ship oil. And I saw a stat the other day that the truck by truck of oil is now increasing exponentially. Like, this is a crazy way to move such a vital resource. I mean, oil and gas are our lifeblood of our economy, and we continue to dam it here on the West Coast. It's utter madness. And what we're really concerned about is, number one, taxpayers are on the hook for this because we own all of it now, so we're responsible, so it's going to cost a ton of money. Number two, we still don't know if the pipeline's going to get twinned. And number three, study after study says that shipping oil by rail is way riskier than shipping it through the pipeline. And guess what? It runs right along the Fraser River Valley corridor. So it's not a good idea to do this. But, I mean, it's not a surprise that the province of Alberta is getting so frustrated.
Kris, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you so much for caring so much about these issues.
My guest has been Kris Sims, BC Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. If you have any questions for us or our guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.